What if someone didn't steal your identity to drain your bank account and disappear? What if they stole your identity to replace you, to wear your name, spend your money, live your life, and then one day, quietly, carefully, with a plan years in the making, they make sure you are no longer around to take it back? In 2008, a woman's body was found alone in a Barcelona apartment. The room was booked under her name. Her bank card had been used that morning. Everything pointed to her, except she had been at work all day, witnessed by dozens of colleagues. So who was that in that apartment? And who had been living as her for the past 2 years? If you've ever trusted someone completely, only to find out that they were never who you thought they were, this story is going to shake you to your core. Hit that subscribe button right now, because the cases we cover here will make you question everything. Like this video, drop a comment telling me, have you ever had a friend who turned out to be a complete stranger? Let's get into it. Barcelona, February 24th, 2008. A man named Carlos walked into a police station. His hands are probably shaking. His voice maybe cracks when he says the words out loud for the first time. Words no husband should ever say. My wife is missing. Her name was Ana Pierz, 35 years old, a fashion designer, warm, driven, beloved by everyone who knew her. She had been married to Carlos for 7 years, and their life together was exactly what you'd picture when someone says the words happy and stable in the same sentence. Anna had left on February 18th to meet a friend. That was the last Carlos heard from her. She didn't come home. She didn't show up at work. She wasn't answering her calls. 6 days of silence. 6 days of Carlos calling her number and hearing nothing. 6 days of staring at her side of the bed and not knowing whether to be terrified or hopeful. What Carlos didn't know yet, what nobody had told him, was that the Barcelona police had already found her body. Found on February 21st in a short-term rental apartment across the city, her woman unidentified. And the clock on her death, it lined up almost perfectly with the day Anna disappeared. 3 days earlier, a cleaning woman had arrived for her morning shift at a rental apartment complex. Routine, ordinary, just another work day. She used her key, opened the door, stepped inside the living room and stopped. There was a woman on the floor, still, not breathing. The cleaning lady didn't scream. Some people go completely silent when the world stops making sense. She backed out of the apartment, picked up her phone and called the police. When investigators arrived, the first thing that struck them was how clean the room was. Not messy clean, obviously desperately clean. No clothes, no luggage, no personal belongings of any kind. The surfaces looked wiped down, methodically, completely. On the couch, a black wig. On the floor, black boots and some jewellery. On the dining table, a glass and an open drink bottle. That was it. The front door showed no signs of forced entry. There was no signs of a struggle. It looked less like a crime scene and more like a stage, a carefully arranged table designed to tell a specific story. The police had almost nothing to work with. No ID, no phone, no wallet, no way of knowing who this lady was. They turned to the landlord. He remembered her, a middle-aged woman, shoulder-length black hair, checked in on February 18th, booked the room for 2 nights under the name Ana Pierz. The obvious conclusion, the woman in the apartment was Anna. But the landlord hesitated. He looked at the woman on the floor and something nagged at him. Something small, hard to name. The woman who booked the room and the woman now lying in it. He wasn't sure they were the same person. It was just a feeling, a hunch, the kind police usually dismiss. This time, they wrote it down. And when Carlos arrived at the station to file the missing persons report, the timeline checked into place. Police called him in to identify the body, and Carlos confirmed it. The woman in that apartment was his wife, Anna Pierce, without a doubt. So Anna had booked the room. Anna was found in the room. Case closed, right? Except the landlord's hunch, and then the autopsy. The results came back and sent the entire investigation sideways. There was male DNA found on Anna's body, 2 separate men. The suggestion was clear and disturbing, that Anna had been involved in some kind of encounter before her death. Carlos refused to accept it. He knew this woman. In 7 years of marriage, he had never once doubted her. Anna was not that person. He was certain. The police needed more, went back to the apartment. That obsessive cleanliness suddenly felt very different. Not the tidiness of a neat guest, but the deliberate ensure of evidence. Someone had wiped that room down, carefully, intentionally. Then came the bank records. On February 18th, the day Anna was last seen alive, someone had withdrawn £600 from her bank account at 9 o'clock in the morning. But Anna was at work at 9 in the morning. Dozens of colleagues could confirm it. She hadn't left the office once that entire day. The police pulled up the ATM footage. The woman on screen was tall, lean, dark-haired and in her 40s. The landlord confirmed it immediately. That was a woman who booked the room. 2 women, same name, same bank account, different faces. When police showed the still to Carlos, his reaction changed immediately. He recognized her immediately. Her name was Maria Angeles Molina, but everyone called her Angie. She was Anna's friend. More than that, she was the friend Anna had left home to meet on the day she vanished. Now it starts to crystallize, and it is deeply upsetting. Angie was wearing a wig that matched Anna's hair. She was using Anna's bank card. She booked the room under Anna's name. She was in every way she could manage performing as Anna. When police brought Angie in, she was composed, confident even. She had a story ready. Anna, she said, was unfaithful, a woman who secretly met men in rental apartments and hotels. Whatever happened to her was a result of one of those encounters gone wrong. Tragic but not surprising, not to Angie anyway. Police let her believe they were convinced. They were not. Because what they were finding in Anna's records was something entirely different. Anna worked in HR at her clothing company, which meant she had access to personal records, employee files, private information, including investigators realized her own. And someone had been helping themselves to all of it. Between 2006 and late 2007, multiple loans had been taken out in Anna's name. Life insurance policies totaling nearly £1 million had been opened, beneficiaries undisclosed. Anna's credit card had been used extensively. Her signature appeared on document after document, except it wasn't Anna's signature. Handwriting analysis confirmed it. Every single one of those signatures had been written by Angie. For 2 years, Angie had been methodically dismantling Anna's financial life, quietly, carefully from the inside, building a paper trail that pointed entirely to Anna, taking everything she could reach. And Anna, it seems, had no idea. The police dug deeper into Angie's past, the colder the picture became. Angie wasn't making much money. She bounced between jobs, lawyer, mentor, various other titles, never staying long, never building anything. Yet she lived in a mansion in Barcelona, drove luxury cars, wore designer clothes, and spent without hesitation. The house, it turned out, had belonged to her late husband, Juan Liben, a wealthy Argentinian businessman she met on vacation in Palma de Mallorca, where she was just 20 years old. Juan was rich, Angie was not, though she told him otherwise. She came from nothing, the daughter of a taxi driver, but she wanted the life she'd seen in magazines, and she was willing to do whatever it took to get there. The marriage wasn't love, it was strategy. When Joanne discovered the truth, the lies about her background, the ongoing affairs, the money she was burning through, he wanted out. Divorce, full custody of their daughter. In November of 1996, Joanne was found unresponsive in his home. The death was ruled self-inflicted poisoning. Everything went to Angie. At the time of Anna's death, police couldn't build a case around Joanne. Too many years had passed, too much evidence gone. But they noticed that Angie had been involved with a chemical engineer around the time of Joanne's death. Someone who would have known exactly what substances could kill a person quietly. The pattern was undeniable, even if it was unproven. Angie had done this before. The two men whose DNA was found on Anna's body were eventually identified and interviewed. Neither of them recognized Anna's photograph. Both of them recognized Angie's. Angie had approached them, not for their services, but for something far stranger. She had paid them for biological samples. Cash, no questions, an odd request, but not one they felt the need to refuse. Anna had planted the DNA herself. She had staged the entire scene. The wigs, the boot, the wiped surfaces, the carefully constructed narrative of a woman living a double secret life, to make Anna's death look like a tragic accident involving men she'd met privately. No murder investigation, no suspects, no questions asked. She had thought of everything, almost. The evidence was overwhelming. Forged signatures matching Angie's handwriting, bank records, ATM footage, the DNA scheme, the loans and insurance policies in Anna's name, a 2-year pattern of identity theft executed with frightening precision. Anna maintained her innocence throughout the entire trial. She had an answer for every question, an explanation for every piece of evidence. She was calm, rehearsed. The court wasn't persuaded. Maria Molina was found guilty of murder and forgery. She was sentenced to 22 years total, 18 for the murder and 4 for the forgery. She then appealed, and her sentence was reduced to 18 years. In December of 2023, she was granted second-degree parole, and in March of 2025, less than 2 years later, she was arrested again, this time for attempting to hire a hitman. Even from inside the system, she was still reaching outwards, still identifying someone who needed to disappear. She's back in prison, permanently this time, we can only hope. Anna Paez believed in people. She trusted her friends. She worked hard, earned her love, and was building a life she had earned. The most terrifying thing about her story isn't what Angie did. It's how long Angie was able to do it while standing right next to Anna smiling. Some